riding down Highway 61. Sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day. No matter where in the world I go, I'll always find home on the banks of that oxbow.
All right, man, we're back, part 2. Got Jerry Hancock here. Y'all can see the trophy right there. And we're fixing Brad, what we going to pound them about?
We're going to go back to, fine-tuning. Jerry won this tournament by live scope.
Yep.
And we want to know, how can somebody get in a live scope really be effective with it? Because a lot of people's got them.
Yeah. A lot of people, I do a lot of instructional trips on Fort. People's got it. They're struggling. First thing with live scope's boat control.
Yeah.
I think about 80% of it is boat control.
Yep.
People ask me, pole or trolling motor? I ran the pole for a long time, then I'm running on a trolling motor now. That has to do with what kind of trolling motor you have, I think. If you have an Ultrex or something that turns fast, cable steering, you can get by. I think on the trolling motor is better. If it's electric steering, you spot lock a lot, a pole.
Right.
It also depends on what kind of fishing you do. If you're a brush pile guy, spot lock, you want 4 people in the boat, I think a pole's great. You can lock the boat down, point that pole anywhere, bridges, even docks if you're shooting, there's no perfect way, live scope. But I run it on trolling motor, and I'd say first thing is boat control.
Yeah.
You think you're good with it? No, you're not. You're not until you try to do it.
Let's talk about boat control real quick and what you're used to out on the water, because a lot of people don't really take this in perspective. What kind of winds are you facing on Lake Fork while you're dipping these big trees?
I like a little breeze. I want some wind always in your face, which that's how we should we've all learned that over the years. But directly in the boat, in your face, I like a little breeze. That's your break. When you don't have, like yesterday we was fighting no wind. We had a swirling wind on us. I always keep the wind in my face, so I'd start going yesterday, and then it's hitting us in the back, was pushing us. I was having to turn around. We were going in circles. That probably hurt us as much as anything, is we didn't have a direct breeze yesterday. We had a swirling wind, and we could never get a line down. We was having to turn around and go back. And keep it in your nose. I don't try to fish off to the side. I want it to fish directly out the front. So if I'm looking, I scan. I run usually 60 foot out. I scan. I see a tree over here at, say, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock to my left with fish on it. I don't just run directly at that tree. I turn and go parallel to it, and then turn and cup straight into it.
Yeah.
Get the boat swung around. If you start fishing with your boat here and the wind's hitting this way, your boat's going to spin on you.
Right.
So if you're fishing shallow, you can do it. But when you're fishing this deep, what we're doing, time you get your bait down, you turn the trolling motor, you're trying to fight
moving.
You're way off.
What kind of, on Lake Fork, what's your limit as far as you're looking at the forecast? Can you fish in 20-mile-an-hour winds out there?
Depends. But if in open water, no, not really. Especially with customers, it takes too long to get that bait down there and hold that. There gets to be a limit. I can fish with some 20-mile-an-hour winds, but not directly in it.
Right.
Waves.
Okay.
Yeah, the waves
All right,
and stuff coming over
push
the
it.
front. But I like a 5-mile-an-hour breeze. Good little chop on the water. I think that masks some of our noise, and the fish are a little less spooky. Now, when you start getting that boat popping, sometimes that spooks them.
Yep.
So there's a fine line there where it's perfect. But no wind, they get spookier, and you go up, then you got to turn your boat and stall it. guys are using power poles. My new boat, I've got some paddles ordered. I've got power poles. I don't have paddles. I need them on it right now to drop them to stop you. And I'll be having a set real soon. I probably should have. I'm way behind on that trick. I should have had paddles on there because that would help settle your boat way down. And but I'm not doing it. I can't wait to get that because that's going to make my boat control even better. And I already feel like I'm really good with it.
Oh, no doubt.
So, but boat control, that's critical. And like we was talking about, this like fishing that deep with live scope. If on your shaft or trolling motor, it's got the 20-degree.
Y'all pay attention to this. He's going to get some really good tips here.
Yeah. If you're fishing shallow, say 15 or less, it's not hard. Straight out the front of your boat, pretty good. But the deeper you fish, mine's on the left side of the shaft.
Right.
Okay. And you could have it on the right. It's going to be opposite. But mine being on the left, the deeper it's going, that beam's going down like this at an angle. It's not straight down. So if I'm fishing 20 foot and I drop it, if I see my bait above 10 foot, I'm not far enough left. I don't want to see my bait. I got to go left way further than I want. And when I see my bait show up about 10 foot, I'm pretty good at 20. If he's at 30, I won't want to see it till about 15 foot deep. Then I know I've got my left and right.
Y'all better be writing this down because this is really good info.
That's critical because then...
That's a mistake I've been doing.
Yeah, it's hard. And Paul, my partner, he's out there today. I'd say left, and I'm fishing, he's going right. I said left. He goes, it ain't this deep. It ain't that far. Something's off on our deal. I said, Paul, we haven't been fishing 30 foot deep. At Fork, we've been fishing 18 foot. It's a lot less left. So... That
makes
hard
so much
to do.
sense, though. I have never thought of that, Jerry.
So when you pitch it out there, and I've got to where I just look at the fish, I get him. Well, I can just blindly pitch, and I'm pretty close. Not always perfect, but pretty close. As it starts following, then I start pulling, or driving up, pulling, dragging above that fish, getting my bait where I want it to fall. Then I drag it over, fall.
So you're working your arm and you're working your foot in the boat.
You cannot, and I deal with this with customers. They drop hold the rod still, and I have to drive the bait to the fish.
Yeah.
That's hard. Well, that's helped me in my boat control. Because when you can drive an 1/8 ounce jig 20 foot deep into a fish's mouth, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't be that good because you should move your rod a little bit.
He is that good. You see this trophy.
But it's by necessity,
Yeah. Of doing it
I tell
every day.
people,
And practicing nonstop.
Yeah. So I tell people, drag your rod left. Mine, it's always left. I told Paul, it's everything you're going to hear me say left this week, morning thing. It's always left. Pull your rod left, drag it left. And I found you get a bow in your line too. You're best to pull it up and move it and then let it down. Pull it up, move it, and let it down. You take some of that bow out of your line and get it down. So there is a lot of little tricks. That's helped us this week because I talked to a lot of guys that said we struggled. We're not used to fishing that deep. Man, that's what I do for a living. So I think it helped. Now,
what you do.
If we'd had to shoot docks to win this, we probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest with you. But, we've said for years, if you can put us on a lake with trees, you better watch out. We're going to get you. We're going to figure a way to catch them.
for you.
Yeah. That live scope is not plug and play. If anybody tells you that, they've never used it.
That's right.
You can see those fish, but getting that bait to them and getting it to them quick, because the boat's moving, and you got to take into account if your boat's drifting left and you're trying to do all this, you got to take into account to what your boat's doing.
Frame.
Yeah. So, man, there's a lot happening, and when you get out of whack, I reel up and pitch back out.
You reset.
Instead of trying to push a bait, I hate pushing baits to a fish. I want to pull it, pull it. If you have to push it more than a foot or two, it starts dragging behind the bow. It's just a mess. So you're better off to pick it up and go back. So it's a lot of work. It's actually work. It's not just drop it down there and watch your jig, And a lot of times, and here's another trick that, when you get that bait down there, you think it's right on that fish. If you'll turn your transducer a little like this, I fan it. That fish is here. I don't know if the camera shows it, and the bait's here. It looks like that bait's right here. When I turn that transducer, it goes. That bait's this far from the fish. And I turn it back, it's here. So what I do is I say, drag it left, and here's what happens is it starts going. It starts going like this. It starts getting closer. And when it gets tell people these fish can see a bait way further than we think, but
Right.
that doesn't mean they're going to react to
Right.
it. I want that fish to react. I don't care if he bites it, swims off, comes up and looks at it, spooks, whatever. But until I get a reaction, I don't feel like he's seen the bait.
Right.
So I keep working that bait till I get a reaction. And if I don't get a reaction, I haven't got that bait in his zone. Some fish, it's on their nose, and some it's 2 foot. So you can fan
I got
that
a question.
trolling.
I've seen on my live scope that I'll see a fish. Say this is my screen right here,
Yeah.
and he's right here, pretty tight on the screen, and I'll turn that transducer just a little bit, and it looks like he's moved. He's actually not moved.
No.
I can't really.
That's,
You mean with your trolling motor?
When
Yeah.
when he gets up tight under the boat, when you do that, he will. Because I caught some fish yesterday. The beam shoots backwards,
Right.
too. I had the trolling motor pointing this way, and they were right under the boat, so I was spinning it till I could get the brightest picture of the fish in my jig, and I actually was looking at it backwards and caught them. But when they get directly under the boat, it gets tricky, And what I didn't do yesterday all week that I should have done is click that transducer down a little, and that would have helped them right up under us. I don't like to get them right. I like to keep them out 4, 5, 6 foot from us. But sometimes, excuse me, you get right on top of them, you don't see the tree, and those things don't show up as well. So if you'll stay about 3, 4, 5 feet off of them, you'll get a better picture, So, it's in the wind, no wind, your boat's drifting, moving. It's like fishing like driving on ice. You have no control, and that's that. I struggle with that because I tend to oversteer. I have to tell myself back off because I stay on that motor. And I have to spin around and stall the boat back up a little bit. I have a weakness, and it's overgoing sometimes. I have to make myself get off the trolling motor. Just let the boat sit there, And but
What trolling motor are you running?
I'm running the Ultrex.
Are you?
Yeah. I've got a Garmin I'm going to put on my new boat. I've got a Sea Arc ordered, a BC 210, that big wide boat.
You got a Sea Arc ordered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I hope to have by the end of the year, or.
What made you want to go to Sea Arc?
The
what are you
decks-
running now, right now? What are you
I'm running
now?
the Ranger.
Okay.
20-foot
And
Ranger.
you're going to aluminum Sea Arc.
Yeah.
All right.
The deck on the front is so wide, I'll have 3 pedestals side by side, so I can have my customer sitting right beside me. It's 21 and a half foot. It's a big boat, wide, 250 on it.
Yeah.
It's Godwin is running it, same boat.
Yeah.
I just talked to him a minute ago, and he's like, "Man, you're gonna love it."
Yeah.
Everybody I've talked to, I saw it at the show last year. It's just a tank. It's
Yeah.
huge, and I can't wait to get it. It's for what I do with guys sitting beside me, and then they can have a pedestal to lean on, or I can put a short seat, and the older guys I get can sit down. So it's gonna be awesome. Now, it's gonna blow a little more than my Ranger. But I ran aluminum. I fished for Lund back in the day. I ran a 21-foot Lund, big high sides. I run deep B's for a long time. So I fought
You're
boat
not scared
drift.
of it. You're not scared of it.
Not scared of it. And this boat's still heavy enough. It's not going to be that bad. I'll put drift paddles on it. I'll be fine with it.
And plus, just like you said, you like to stay on that trolling motor. You're going to have to.
Yep.
probably a little bit
That'll
more with that
help.
aluminum boat.
But it sets in the water. It's like a bass boat, and it's a heavy boat. So I don't think it's going to drift too much more. And especially if I put the drift paddles on my power poles, it's gonna the nose isn't gonna swing on me as bad.
Right.
So it's gonna set. It'd probably be better than what I got. To be honest with you. So I'm excited to get that boat. I'm excited for my customers to have a little more comfort. They can,
Yeah, it's all about comfort.
right
out there
now
in the
they're
water all
standing
day.
up,
That's tough.
or I set a cooler up there. These bass boats aren't designed for.
3 on the front.
Sea Arc. There's only a few boats that width. That's live scope's the game. If guys are this way, that width up front's important.
What's the width up front?
I don't know the
97 or
exact. No, it's 96. It's almost as wide up front as in the back. It doesn't cut
He
down
said it's a
much.
tank.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a tank. I'm familiar with the Sea Arcs. They're
it's
really good.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. But I'm going to put a Garmin on it. Main reason, quietness. And I've ran them. As far as the steering goes, there's not much difference to me, but they're so quiet. And in the spring, I spook a lot of fish just hitting the
I've
prop.
seen it. Yep. I've seen it.
And I heard Minn Kota's going brushless on their motors too, so that may fix some of that. But I'll like the Garmin fine. I don't have a
What
problem with it.
what Garmin unit are you running?
I'm running 1222.
A 1222.
Yep. I think, for just live
one screen?
scoping.
Just one screen up front?
Yep. I've got another screen for maps.
Yeah.
And on this boat, I'll probably run a 9. I may buy, I don't know, after when it's time, I might put a 16 on this boat and run a
That's what I'm
12 for
talking about.
maps, but I'm going to put a 1242 on the console.
Mm-hmm.
I may put 2, one for maps and one for graph. But I love that 1222.
Jerry's wife's over here listening too.
I love that 1222. I like the dial to turn. I'm not, I've used them all with customers. I've tried them all. But that 1222, if you're just live scoping, you don't need the maps and all that on it, that's the best bang for your buck.
What about settings? I know everybody's always asking about settings.
Man, I mess with the gain during the day. My settings I start with just everywhere I go. Noise reduction on medium, TVG off. And then I run my color gain about 70-75%. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll turn my noise rejection down to low. I'll never put it on high. It just I have a ghost tree at times, just like everybody else.
And there's an update right now.
Yeah, I haven't. I want to see what it's
How
done
it
before
goes.
I do anything.
Yeah.
But I've learned to live with that ghost tree.
Nothing in the world, is it?
It's just, man, I don't know. There's going to be, maybe they got to fix, but so far, but it comes and goes. I think I don't know exactly what all here on this lake. Paul's boat, I didn't have ghost tree all week. None, never. We put my 12-inch. He had a 10. We put my 12 on his boat, with his live scope this week and ran it. The best picture I think it's ever been. But then there was a couple days. I think first morning, Thursday morning, it was terrible. All that debris in the water. We couldn't see a bait till it got about 15 foot deep.
Really?
No, it was.
What about your power source, your batteries? Are you running?
I'm running just a dedicated battery on my live scope. I got a 1-bank charger up there and one battery, and it runs my black box and my head unit. That's it. My front graph, my back graph, everything else is on a separate. I got 5 batteries in my boat right now.
5 batteries.
Yeah.
And
I may go lithium on this new boat on some of that for weight, but I don't think this Sea Arc's going to matter if that weight on that boat. Actually, I'm probably going to want the weight.
Exactly. I was fixing to say that.
I want the lithium, and I can tell a big difference.
Yeah. I'm hearing as far as the run time and stuff, it helps. So that may happen, when we get it. We talked about it at the dealership what we're going to do when we hadn't decided, but I'm just running a regular, deep cycle battery up on my. It's sitting in my front box because, that bass boat's not designed for 5 batteries.
Did you do that right off the bat, or did you start having issues and you had to regroup?
With my 9-inch, I ran it on my cranking battery and never had a problem, but at 12, I was told it's going to run a little more juice, so I immediately changed it. Yep.
I got you.
Bought me a little single bank, Minn Kota charger, put it up in the front rod box by the battery. When I plug my boat in, it's got a 3-way and plug them in, and it's been great. Been great. I never, all day long, and never gets below 12 volts.
Yep. That's good. That's good.
So,
is there anything else you want to add,
Man,
Brad?
just appreciate you. Congratulations,
I appreciate
Jerry.
the whole story, the whole breakdown of everything that you did.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all. I mean, it's an honor to be here with you guys, and very humbling to be sitting here.
Crappie Connection's got to come to Texas.
Yeah, I told you, y'all got. I know how it
We
is.
gotta come to
We got to
Texas.
come to Mississippi too.
Hey, we can do
I
that.
mean, I've never done that, so
We
we
can
might have
do
to
that.
do a little swap for swap on
Heck
a
yeah.
deal, So,
Well, y'all just listen to the champ, Jerry Hancock.
man,
Yeah.
that sounds odd to hear that. I'm used to hearing Robert Carlisle or Matthew Rogers or somebody else, that, but it hadn't sunk in, And I was like,
I could tell right now you're on high water. Well,
it's just been everywhere I go, people, can I get a picture with the trophy and all that? And, I've been around a long time, but, I was sitting up there at Ronnie Capps, fixing to do a round table, sat beside Ronnie Capps. I read his book. I was trying to, I idolized them guys growing up, and, Tony Shepard, and, and then I looked at Eric Kagels and Matthew Rogers and Robert Carlisle and Kevin Rogers and all these guys I've known, a lot of them for years, and look up Jeff Hyman, Jeff and Wally, Jeff, I've all looked up to him forever. To be standing on the stage side by side with these people it's kind of surreal.
Yeah.
I can
only imagine.
I've always wanted my peers to respect me.
You got it.
You know, and that means more to me than anything.
Yeah.
Just being that these guys look at me like people look at them. You know, and I feel like hopefully if they didn't, now we've earned that. You know, and I think most people probably have. It's very humbling. You know, it is. It's very
congratulations
humbling.
again,
and
Jerry,
I appreciate you.
on winning the 2020 Crappie
Hit subscribe,
Expo here.
guys. Hit subscribe.
Yep.
If you like what you're watching, hit subscribe. Anything else you want to add to people that's watching?
I appreciate it, man. Y'all keep these guys, man. Support them. They got some of the best stuff out there. I look forward to watching this stuff every time it hits.
All right. Well, I'm Justin Berry.
Brian Chappell.
You're listening to the Crappie Connection. We'll catch y'all later.
Holla.
About a mile from the big muddy river, a place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my words